Hey guys, Duriel King here, and welcome to another great video that I put together today for you. So, as I mentioned in the last video, I put together a couple of videos. This is the second one in a series of 3, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about interval training and kind of building upon what we talked about in the last video. But this video is very, it's more educational more than anything. I'm going to show you a lot of great stuff today. We're going to learn exactly how to do interval training programs, how to make them for yourself, what the different elements are, and so much more. So it's going to be a really great video, and I've taken off my bright yellow shirt and replaced it with a bright orange/red long sleeve shirt, toning it down a little bit today. So anyways, enjoy the video. I'll speak to you at the end of it, and thanks again for your comments and your feedback. It's always appreciated. Alright guys, so in this video we're going to look at a lot of things. We're going to learn some specific things, and they are the 5 elements of any interval training workouts. We're also going to look at how to set up an interval training program for any fitness level and any running goal. And we're also going to look at how often you want to be doing interval training. So let's move on and let's get started. Let's begin with the 5 elements of an interval training workout. Now again, we're calling back this graph on the right side to give us a visual depiction of what I'm talking about. So there are 5 elements. The first one, the work interval intensity. That's obviously a very important thing we're going to talk about in a second. Secondly, we're going to look at work interval duration. So in this graph, work interval intensity is depicted by the orange bar. Work interval duration obviously would be depicted by the orange bar as well in terms of its width. We're going to look at recovery interval intensity. That would be the yellow bars in this case, and that would be the height of the yellow bars. And the 4th element of an interval training workout is the recovery interval duration. So how wide are these bars? How long is the recovery interval? And then finally, the 5th element to any interval workout is the number of intervals. But first, we're going to have a quick lesson on energy systems, kind of a little exercise physiology here. So on this graph on the right gives us 3 energy systems that our body uses and kind of transitions between depending on the intensity and length of our exercise bout. So we're not going to worry too much with the blue one, the one that has a big spike up to that 100%, because that's known as our phosphagen or our ATP-PC system, and that's mainly used for one-off type of things like jumping, sprinting for about 5 to 10 seconds, quick little movements like that. What we're most interested in are the other 2. We're going to be looking at the glycolytic and oxidative systems, or the anaerobic and aerobic systems specifically. So in this graph, we're going to look at first the glycolytic system, also known as the anaerobic system. This is depicted by the kind of reddish, pinkish line in the middle of the graph here. And what this system basically does, this is the system that kicks in after about 30 seconds of intense work. And it's this anaerobic or glycolytic system that produces lactic acid as a result of switching to that energy system. The reason we switch to this energy system is because our bodies are not able to produce enough energy at that current intensity. So basically we have to switch energy systems, so we're not getting, anaerobic means we're not getting enough oxygen. So we can't produce enough energy from the oxygen we're getting from a given intensity, so we switch over to this energy system to produce more energy, but as a byproduct we also produce lactic acid. However, we can't maintain this type of intensity for very long, and that's why you see this decline in that line after about 45 seconds to a minute. And think about this, try to run as fast as possible for as long as possible. You kind of die off after around that time. Then we switch into, I guess, our base, if you want to call it our base system, is our aerobic or oxidative system. And this is what we use at a very light intensity and long duration. So, our talk test pace, a pace whereby we can produce enough energy for the given task, at that given intensity. So a lighter, longer duration run would be mainly oxidative, and as soon as we pick up the pace to a higher intensity, then we kind of transition into more of an anaerobic or glycolytic energy system. So hopefully that makes sense, and if it doesn't, just leave a comment below this video and I'll hopefully clarify that for you. Alright, and now let's get back to the show. So we're going to look at the first element of an interval training workout, which is the work interval intensity. So this is the bounce, whereby we're doing the actual work, we're working hard, and the intensity will depend on your training goals. So if you're looking, for instance, if you're looking to run faster, right? If you want to run a fast race or a fast 5K, or you're looking to run a 400 meter in a faster time, the interval intensity is going to be very different from somebody who's looking at, perhaps running a marathon, and their intensity during that race is not as, obviously intense as it would be for a shorter distance. So it depends on your training goals. We also have to look at why you don't want to use heart rates as a way of determining how intense your work intervals, or your recovery intervals for that matter, should be. The reason for that is because your heart rate is constantly fluctuating during the workout. It's never an accurate representation of intensity. For instance, your first interval, if we're doing intervals of 1 minute, if you're working at based on your maximum speed at 90% for a minute, your heart rate is going to gradually increase during that minute. So to say, maintain a certain heart rate is a little bit tough. Initially for that first interval, it's not too bad, but as you start to increase the amount of intervals that you get over time during the workout, you're actually going to have to decrease your pace to maintain that same heart rate. So that's not necessarily a good thing, because what we want to do is train our body to adapt to running at faster speeds instead of slowing down our speeds to adapt to working within a specific heart rate training zone. So that's why personally I never really use heart rate as a determinant of speed or intensity in interval workouts. Now, I've mentioned this in the last video, intensity has the greatest impact on performance and health improvements. We talked about the impact on cardiac health in the previous video, and all the impact that intensity has on performance improvements of all kinds, whether it's fat loss, running faster, running longer, and all sorts of other measurements of becoming a fitter individual. So it's all about the intensity. And generally, as a rule of thumb, the more intense an exercise bout, the less long we can sustain that, right? So that makes sense. If you sprint as fast as possible, you can't do that indefinitely. So it's an inverse relationship. The faster you run, the less long you're going to be able to do that interval for. Okay? The lower the intensity, the longer the duration.